Alright guys, take 2 of this video because we just found more evidence that Jack Dorsey might have done perjury. But Ted Cruz crushes Jack Dorsey on tech censorship. Wednesday, Senator Ted Cruz and his CEO Jack Dorsey early in the rounds during a Senate hearing with tech giants. Cruz pressed Jack Dorsey on the improper censorship of negative Joe Biden reporting. Now, we do have the full clip. It does go for 8 minutes. We're going to play that. We're going to play some stuff to back up things that he's not said or back up things that he lied about. So let's just jump straight into it.
Chairman, I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. The 3 witnesses we have before this committee today collectively pose,
now we're going to play this clip in entirely,
to free speech
so
in
there's
America,
no sort of taking out of
the greatest
context
threat
or anything
we
like
have
that.
to free and fair elections. Yesterday, I spent a considerable amount of time speaking with both Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Pichai. I have concerns about the behavior of both of their companies. I would note that Facebook is at the minimum at least trying to make some efforts in the direction of defending free speech. I appreciate their doing so. Google, I agree with the concerns that Senator Klobuchar raised. I think Google has more power than any company on the face of the planet. And the antitrust concerns are real. The impact of Google is profound. And I expect we will have continued and ongoing discussions about Google's abuse of that power and its willingness to manipulate search outcomes to influence and change election results. But today, I want to focus my questioning on Mr. Dorsey and on Twitter. Because of the 3 players before us,
during the process to discuss things too, by the way, guys.
Been the most egregious.
So it's not just going to be a watch party.
Mr. Dorsey, does Twitter have the ability to influence elections?
No.
You don't believe Twitter has any ability to influence elections?
No, we are one part of a broad spectrum of communication channels that people have.
So you...
Now, there's a few things in that I find totally misleading. For a start, if someone's only on Twitter, then no, they don't have a spectrum. They only have everything's a spectrum with these lefties, isn't it? No, they don't have a spectrum. They only have you. And you blocked the Joe Biden expose from New York Post. And not only that, but we've seen these companies work in unison. So how are they going to have a spectrum if you're all working together to block the story? And as for you not having power to swing elections, really? 50 million people voted before you were able to post this story on Twitter. Now, he claims it was 24 hours. That's a load of crap, right? And we got proof to back that up. But 50 million people voted before they got to find out about Joe Biden's laptop. In fact, one of the biggest search engines or search results after the election was, how do I change my vote in 2020? To which the answer is you can't. This is the problem with voting early, and this is why I say the voting early ploy by the Democrats was a really good con. It really, really was. But that's another story for another day. So, I'm sorry, but Jack Dorsey, you're full of it. A, you do have the power to swing elections. B, it's not a spectrum of social media when you're all working together. And C, this is presuming that someone doesn't have only have Twitter or Facebook. So, and I'm sorry, but all 3 companies represent the vast majority of social media. And you were all censoring this story.
You're testifying to this committee right now that Twitter, when it silences people, when it censors people, when it blocks political speech, that has no impact on elections?
People have choice of other communication channels with which...
Not if they don't hear information. If you don't think you have the power to influence elections, why do you block anything?
Well, we have policies that are focused on making sure that more voices on the platform are possible. We see a lot of abuse and harassment, which ends up silencing people and having them leave from the platform.
All right, Mr. Dorsey, I find your opening questions, your opening answers absurd on their face.
Yeah, I find them
absurd. Let's talk about the
too.
last 2 weeks in particular. As you
Absolutely
know,
so.
I have long been concerned about Twitter's pattern of censoring and silencing individual Americans with whom Twitter disagrees. But 2 weeks ago, Twitter, and to a lesser extent Facebook, crossed a threshold that is fundamental in our country. 2 weeks ago, Twitter made the unilateral decision to censor the New York Post in a series of 2 blockbuster articles, both alleging evidence of corruption against Joe Biden. The first concerning Ukraine, the second concerning communist China. And Twitter made the decision, number one, to prevent users, any user, from sharing those stories. And number two, you went even further and blocked the New York Post from sharing on Twitter its own reporting. Why did Twitter make the decision to censor the New York Post?
We had a hack materials policy that we.
When was that policy adopted?
In 2018, I believe.
In 2018. Go ahead. What was the policy?
That date is important, okay? That date is really important. Because Jack Dorsey just literally stepped in it.
So the policy is around limiting the spread of materials that are hacked. We didn't want Twitter to be a distributor for hacked materials. We found that the New York Post, because it showed the direct materials, screenshots of the direct materials, and it was unclear how those were attained, that it fell under this policy. Now,
so in your view, if it's unclear the source of a document, and in this instance, the New York Post documented what it said the source was, which it said it was a laptop owned by Hunter Biden that had been turned into a repair store. So they weren't hiding what they claimed to be the source. Is it your position that Twitter, when you can't tell the source, blocks press stories?
No, not at all. Our team made a fast decision. The enforcement action, however, of blocking URLs, both in tweets and in DM, in direct messages, we believe was incorrect. And we changed it.
Today, right now, the New York Post is still blocked from tweeting 2 weeks later.
Yes, they have to log into their account, which they can do at this minute, delete the original tweet, which fell under our original enforcement actions, and they can tweet the exact same material in the exact same article, and it would go through.
So, Mr. Dorsey, you're...
No, it doesn't. And this is where Jack actually committed perjury, if he swore under oath. Because someone went through and actually tested it at the time this story was going up. You can see here, 1:36 a.m., which is my time, on the 29th of October, which is today. And this is when this video went up. And... bingo. The tweet could not be sent because this link has been identified by Twitter as harmful partners or being potentially harmful. Even at 1:36 a.m., you are not able to send this link. Now, I've tested it since then. I tested it about 10 minutes ago, and it works. It works now. But back when he was testifying this, people were still getting this. So no, he has actually lied. It wasn't until it's now 9 o'clock in the morning, and it now works. So God knows when it works, sometime between 1:36 and now. They've changed it again, but he's claiming it was 24 hours. 2 weeks later, people are still getting the same message. So he's lied. He's lied under oath if he swore under oath, and he's just committed perjury.
Ability is you have the power to force a media outlet. Let's be clear. The New York Post isn't just some random guy tweeting. The New York Post has the 4th highest circulation of any newspaper in America. The New York Post is over 200 years old. The New York Post was founded by Alexander Hamilton. And your position is that you can sit in Silicon Valley and demand of the media that you can tell them what stories they can publish, and you can tell the American people what reporting they can hear. Is that right?
No, this was every person, every account, every organization that signs up to Twitter agrees to a terms of service. Terms of service is
so
public.
Media outlets must genuflect and obey your dictates if they wish to be able to communicate with readers. Is that right?
No, not at all. We recognized an error in this policy, and specifically the enforcement.
You're still blocking their posts. You're still blocking their posts. Right now, today, you're blocking their posts.
We're not blocking the post. Anyone can tweet.
No, you were. Now, there's a difference between what Jack Dorsey is talking about here and what Ted Cruz Missile is talking about here. Ted is talking about them still being banned from the platform. Right? That's what he's claiming. And it's a little bit different than what Jack Dorsey is talking about. Jack's saying you can go on the website now and post the link and it works. Which it still wasn't at this point. So he's still wrong anyway. But Ted is talking about them being banned or being suppressed or being suspended because of that post. So there's a little bit of a difference between the two. But the fact is that Jack Dorsey is still live because at the end of the day, that tweet, you still could not send it at the time of this video going up.
Can the New York Post post on their Twitter account?
If they go into their account.
No is your answer to that. No. Unless they genuinely reflect and agree with your dictates. Let me ask you something. You claimed it was because of a hacked materials policy. I find that facially highly dubious and clearly employed in a deeply partial way. Did Twitter block the distribution of the New York Times' story a few weeks ago that purported to be based on copies of President Trump's tax returns?
We didn't find that a violation of our terms of service and this policy in particular because it was reporting about the material. It wasn't distributing the material.
Okay, well, that's actually not true. They posted what they purported to be original source materials, and federal law, federal statute makes it a crime, a federal felony, to distribute someone's tax returns against their knowledge. So that material was based on something that was distributed in violation of federal law, and yet Twitter gleefully allowed people to circulate that. But when the article was critical of Joe Biden, Twitter engaged in rampant censorship and silencing.
Boom! Boom! Cruise missile just hit its target. This is the time where Ted Cruz nukes Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey is sitting there right now thinking, holy shish kebabs. Jack Dorsey just got spit roasted by Ted Cruz. And there's an image for you. Yeah. And he's right. Ted Cruz is exactly right. He really, really is. And this is not the best of it. This is not the worst of it still. There's more stuff to come. Yeah, don't worry.
And again, we recognized errors in that policy. We changed it within 24 hours. This is...
No, you didn't. People could still not post today. No, you did not. You are a painty-faced dog soldier liar.
But you're still blocking the New York Post. You haven't changed it.
We have changed it. They can log into their account, delete the original tweet.
You forced a Politico reporter to take down his post about the New York Post as well. Is that correct?
Within that 24-hour period, yes. But we, as the policy has changed, anyone can tweet
so
this article.
Twitter takes the view you can censor the New York Post, you can censor Politico, presumably you can censor the New York Times or any other media outlet. Mr. Dorsey, who the hell elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear? And why do you persist in behaving as a Democratic super PAC, silencing views to the contrary of your political beliefs?
Let's give Mr. Dorsey a few seconds to answer that, and then we'll have to conclude this segment.
Well, we're not doing that, and this is why I opened this hearing with calls for more transparency. We realize we need to earn trust more. We realize.
Does anybody believe this guy wants more transparency? Seriously? Look at him.
That more accountability is needed.
There's a body language channel, Mandy from Body Language. I want to see what she says about this because we might do a follow-up on this video, guys.
To show our intentions.
Oh, by the way, it gets worse.
Thank you, Senator.
So I hear the concerns and acknowledge them, but we want to fix it with more transparency.
Thank you, Senator Cruz.
Right, that was embarrassing to watch for Jack Dorsey. Also, he got spit roasted by this guy as well. I don't know who this guy was, but yeah, this is them dealing with the evidence that they had that this is hacked material. Because remember, he just said back in the first video we just watched, right? He said it was hack material. So how do they know it was hack material? Well, he explains.
Okay, for both Mr. Zuckerberg and Dorsey, who
I'm going to drop the gain down a bit on this, guys, because it's very...
censored the New York Post stories,
Oh, it's Ron
or
John.
throttled
Yeah.
them back.
Ron John.
Do either
John
one
Ron.
of you have any evidence that the New York Post story is part of Russian disinformation, or that those emails aren't authentic? Do any of you have any information whatsoever they're not authentic, or that they are Russian disinformation? Mr. Dorsey,
We don't.
you have no. So why would you censor it? Why did you prevent that from being disseminated on your platform that is supposed to be for the free expression of ideas, and particularly true ideas?
We believed it fell afoul of our hacking materials policy. We judged in the
Well, what
moment.
evidence did you have that it was hacked? They weren't hacked.
We judged in a moment that it looked like it was hacked materials
You were wrong.
surfacing, and we updated our policy and our enforcement within 24 hours.
Okay, for both Mr. Zuckerberg and Dorsey.
No, you didn't, because at the end of the day, we still could not post the link earlier today when you were doing the testimony. 2 weeks later.
Who censored the New York Post stories or throttled them back. Do either one of you have any evidence that the New York Post story is part of Russian disinformation, or that those emails aren't authentic? Do any of you have any information whatsoever they're not authentic, or that they are Russian disinformation? Mr. Dorsey,
We don't.
you have no. So why would you censor it? Why did you prevent that from being disseminated on your platform that is supposed to be for the free expression of ideas?
Now, he's just repeating himself here, which is disappointing because he's just wasting time. He could have hit other things. He could have hit other things here.
And particularly true ideas.
We believed it fell afoul of our hacking materials policy. We judged in the moment
Oh, hang on. Maybe that's actually me looping the video, maybe.
for hours.
The whole story is part of Russian disinformation. So why would...
We judged in the
Well, what
moment.
evidence did you have that it was hacked? They weren't hacked.
Yeah, so that was me maybe looping, maybe. Okay. But yeah, so basically here is the gist of it. What we learnt today. Jack Dorsey censored a story that he thought was Russian hacking because he had a gut feeling. His feelings was that it was hacked, so therefore he censored it. They supposedly removed the censorship after 24 hours, but 2 weeks later you still couldn't post the story because it still wouldn't allow you to go through. That was from today. And he just lied to the Senate committee. But don't worry, everybody. We all want you to mend and blend with AI because tech is great. If anybody was to make an argument for not having artificial intelligence or some sort of Neuralink or anything like that, it's this. If we can't trust the tech, why the hell would we go putting our chips in ourselves? Why the hell would we go doing a Neuralink? Because that information could be easily censored. And I tell you what, I really hope there is some decent fallout over this because from what I can see, Jack Dorsey just lied to the Senate committee. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. I was really impressed with Ted Cruz. Look, he says that they want to sit there, and he says at the start of the video they're going to have a discussion with
For this committee today, collectively. Yesterday I spent, Facebook is at the minimum, at least I appreciate their doing so. Google, I agree with the concerns that Senator Klobuchar raised. I think Google has more power than any company on the face of the planet. And the antitrust concerns are make some efforts in the direction of defending free speech. I appreciate there is at the minimum at least trying to make some efforts in the direction of defending free speech. I appreciate their doing so. Google, today I spent...
He talks about having a discussion further with Facebook or YouTube. Ted Cruz, if you ever see this video for some reason, we're sick of talking. Remove the 230 from these three companies. Remove the 230 from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. and put a clause in the 230 that says that the only way that you can suppress or bury content is by illegal actions, by causing illegal actions. That put a First Amendment clause in your 230. Make it so that it has to follow the First Amendment law if it was to pass, if it's to accept 230, to be protected by 230. Now, this is something that they brought up back in July, or June or July. For some reason, it didn't go through. I would love to know why. I might tweet at Ted Cruz later and find out, see if I can get an answer. I want to know why it was not adopted, because that would have been the best possibility. But apart from that, look, Ted, you hit the nail on the head here. You lived up to your name of cruise missile. You did an amazing job. We're sick of talking about it. We want action. And if the Republicans lose this election, one of the main reasons you're going to lose it is because people don't know what's going on. Because people are being censored. People are being blocked. The most popular, or one of the most popular search results after the Trump and Biden debate was, how do I change my vote? 50 million people had already voted by this stage. Around about 110 million vote. Roughly half the population had already voted because of early voting. And we'll do a story on that because I think that was the biggest con ever. But regardless, the reason I reckon the vast majority of people wanted to change their vote was because they heard of what Biden was saying. They heard about him wanting to remove fracking. They have heard about him wanting to cripple the oil industry. They heard about the laptop. That to me was like, people are like, holy shit, who did I vote for? I don't want to vote for him anymore. I want to vote for Trump. And the reason why people would not have heard about the laptop is because of the censorship. Because of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter blocking the article. God knows how many votes the Democrats have picked up because of that. That is election meddling. And I'm sorry, Jack, but I don't believe you. You are a pony-faced dog soldier liar, to quote Joe Biden. And I'm over it. I don't have any remorse if you were to lose your 230 status. You, Facebook, YouTube, you can all go to hell. I will gladly light the match that burns all three of those down to the ground. Figuratively speaking, of course. But, guys, let me know your thoughts are in that comment section below. I found this was very interesting. I want to watch the whole thing. And I think Jack Dorsey really, I think he got absolutely spit roasted here. He came off looking, A, like Osama bin Laden, and B, he came off looking guilty as you can imagine. Now, like I said, there is a channel, the Body Language channel, the person by the name of Mandy. She does body language readings. I want to see what she has to say about it, so we might do a follow-up about that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I really want to hear what she has to say about this, because to me, he is guilty as you can imagine. But that's my bias coming through. Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think anything's going to change? Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section. If this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Guys, I'm going to upload a video maybe tonight about the Android thing. It's about 9 o'clock here, so it's getting a bit late to upload videos now. I just want to go and play some games, have some fun. Apart from that, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So 2 videos tonight. There might be a bonus video later tonight, and we'll talk about me de-giggling my phone. Have a great night and enjoy yourself, everybody.